Welcome to the MicroCap Manifesto Module 1. Why MicroCaps? Your best real shot at generational wealth. When people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them that I'm a treasure hunter. Instead of looking for a good return on my investments, I look for something that's going to radically change our lives. Something so good, it can change the life of generations of our descendants. But I don't search the bottom of the ocean looking for sunken ships. I look in a little known sector of the stock market known as the over-the-counter market, or the OTC. This is where tiny little companies get their start, usually by taking over some unused shell corporation so they can start trading right away. The problem is these tiny little companies get almost no press coverage. You'll never see them featured on the Wall Street Journal or Money Magazine. Now that's bad for the folks running the company because their company gets almost no attention, even if they have the most life-changing product in the world. But it's great news for intrepid investors like us that take the time to find these needle in a haystack companies. The ones with a true market solution to a huge problem. The ones with honest, experienced, and ambitious management. The ones that have the potential to scale massively with eye-popping margins. That's what I look for. But they're rare. Sometimes I'll research a company for 3 years before jumping in. I talk to management, I get on airplanes and fly out to meet them. I look over their operations, look at their financials, see who else is involved in the company, and look at their potential market and their business model. And if they pass all 5 of my major filters and the overall sniff test, I jump in big and I take my subscribers with me. Typically, no matter how much my subscribers invest, I invest more. And that makes sense because if I'm the one doing the research, I should have the most confidence. I'm just letting you know I don't just recommend these companies, I invest my own money as well. Plus, if you invest big, you have the opportunity to win big. Now, sometimes, as accredited investors, we'll do a direct investment into the company called a private placement. It gives these tiny ventures the much needed capital to turn their concepts into a big, thriving business. But even if you're not accredited, we can invest by buying shares on the open market, giving us a nice, low-cost basis and supporting the stock, giving others the confidence to buy as well. And with a great company that's performing well, we'll often do both. But no matter how we buy, all these investments have the potential to make us rich. Let me give you some examples of companies you probably already know about that have become giant Jack and the Beanstalks starting from tiny sprouts. At its IPO in 1997, Amazon traded under $2 a share. It didn't graduate from its penny stock designation until 1998. But since then, it's taken off like a rocket, cresting over 3,700 per share in 2021 for a 1,850 times return. Now, I'm not telling you that to raise your expectations to unrealistic levels. I'm just trying to point out what is actually possible with some of these companies. Another one is Advanced Micro Devices, or AMD, arguably the most successful PC chip maker right now and a household name among techies. But back in 2015, the stock traded for just $1.70 per share. Then in November of 2021, it hit a high of $164 per share. That's an outrageous 96 times return. Another example is SiriusXM Holdings, one of the biggest audio and communication companies in the world. So it's hard to believe that it once traded for just 20 cents per share, and just 5 short years later, it hit $69 per share for a 345 times return. Those kinds of returns obviously made the early investors wealthy. This is literally where billionaires come from. The good news is we don't have to do nearly that well to have more money than we ever dreamed of. The problem is, if you didn't know the founders of these companies or weren't in just the right place at the right time, you never would have had the opportunity to invest. And the same holds true for the companies I recommend. They might be available for anyone to buy on the OTC market, but if someone doesn't point it out to you and convince you beyond a doubt that the risk is worth the reward, you won't invest. And that ends up with the same result as never having heard about it in the first place. Fortunately, our subscribers have learned to trust my research. We're now heavily invested in companies with 10 to 20 or even 100 times the profit potential of our initial investment. And this isn't theoretical. We've already gotten into a lithium recycler and a miner in a range from 20 cents all the way down to 3 cents. And I've seen the stock surge to almost $5 per share in January of 2021 for up to 150 times return. That kind of appreciation turns $10,000 into 1.5 million. We also got into a quantum computing company at $1 and saw our investment surge to $25 in December of 20 for the 25 times return on our money. And it's already happening with others as you're reading this, with some of our open positions up 10 times or more, and that's no accident. There are 3 super important strategies to help make that happen, and that's what we're going to discover in our next module.